Me and my friends are members of Youth Culture Corps. We study Korean history and culture and introduce them to tourists and people in the world. Today we will show Gyeongbokgung Palace, in particular Gyeonghaeru.
Hello, I'm Jennifer from YCC 166기. Before we start the tour, let me tell you a brief history of this palace in Seoul. Korea has 5,000 years of history. During this long period, it has had many different dynasties and kingdoms with changes in the size of its territory. Our last dynasty, called Joseon, started in 1392 and made the city Seoul its capital in 1394. After deciding on Seoul as the capital city, they started to build a palace and shrines. And for about 520 years, the Joseon period, 5 palaces were built in Seoul. We call the place Gungar in Korean, and it is the combination of the words Gung and Kwar. Gung means the palace, and Kwar means the wall and door which protects the Gung. This Gyeongbokgung Palace was built in 1395, 3 years after the Joseon dynasty was founded, and it served as the main palace. Now you must have note about Korean palaces. Now let's move to one of the most beautiful places in Gyeongbokgung.
Hello, my name is Ji-Yu Kim and I will talk about Gyeonghaeru. Gyeonghaeru is the best and the largest pavilion in Korea. It is one of the national treasures. This pavilion was where the king threw banquets and received foreign envoys. You can see a picture of it on the backside of the 10,000 won bills. Before Gyeonghaeru was built, there was only a little pond there. By the order of King Taejong, they digged a big pond and built the Gyeonghaeru building. The dirt that came out of here was used to build Amisan, the beautiful terrace garden for the queen. The name Gyeonghae means that in order for the king to rule the country well, the king should have right person. Therefore, by the parties that were held in Gyeonghaeru, the king's relationship with his officials develops, so they should rule the country better together. Therefore, Gyeonghaeru was used for parties or to entertain the officials from other countries mostly. Besides that, a rain ritual was also held there.
Hi, I'm Yein. I would like to show you Gyeonghaeru with architectural beauty. After boating on the surrounding man-made pond, the king and his party went up to the pavilion to enjoy a sweeping view of the palace and mountains around the palace. The pavilion was burnt down during the Japanese invasion in 1952, but rebuilt in 1867 as a wooden 2-story structure with a floor area of 931 square meters. The first level has no walls, only 48 stone columns. The second floor has different levels. The 3 seating bays at the center are the highest, the next 12 bays are a few centimeters lower, and the outmost 20 bays are the lowest. The higher his rank is, the closer an official was seated to the center. The pavilion is said to have been built according to the principles of Book of Changes. The 3 bays at the center of the raised floor symbolizes heaven, earth, and men, and the 12 bays around them symbolizes the 12 months of the year. In the east, they thought that the round one belonged to a sky and a square one belonged to the earth, so that the sky was round and the ground was square. This idea is also reflected in the architecture. If you look at the pillars of Gyeonghaeru, it is supported by 48 stone pillars. You can see the square-shaped columns on the outer side of the pillars, while the inner columns are round. There are 24 columns in total, which is said to mean the 24 solar terms. We call it 절기. The outmost 24 columns symbolizes the 24 solar terms marking astronomical or natural events occurring each year. 절기 is the way Koreans used to count dates. The West lived on a 7-day cycle, while Korea and China lived on a 15-day cycle.
Like these pillars, Korean architecture wants to symbolize a good meaning to even a single decoration. The stone bridge in Gyeonghaeru symbolizes sun, moon, and stars from the south to the east. The bridge that was on the very south, which symbolizes sun, was the bridge where the king went through. The royal family went through the middle bridge, and the last bridge was used by officials and attendants. On the ridge of the roof are 11 figurines of mythical creatures, the largest number on the roof of any traditional building in Korea. When this palace was rebuilt in 1867, a pair of bronze dragons were placed in the pond to protect the building from the fire or water damage. They were recovered during dragging work in 1997 and are now displayed at the National Palace Museum of Korea. As the museum is just a stone's throw away from this palace, you may visit the museum after the tour is over.
Hello, my name is Eun Kim from Youth Cultural Corps. From now on, I will explain to you the important figures associated with Gyeonghaeru, the lawbreaker who was promoted, the story of Gujongji. Let me tell you one amusing anecdote in relation to the pavilion. A fence once ran around the pavilion pond, interrupted only by 3 gates on the east, west, and south side. No one was permitted to enter the area as well. During King Sejong's reign, a night watcher sneaked into the pavilion and suddenly encountered the king. The man confessed to the king that he was an official of the lowest rank, class 9, and that he had committed the crime of entering the pavilion only to see its beauty. Believing that the guard was a man of refined tastes, the king ordered him to recite the poem Spring and Autumn Annals, a Chinese classic. The next day, the king promoted the man to the rank of 5. King Sejong, the most respected man in Korea history, valued his ability over his hate. The other person who comes to mind in Gyeonghaeru is the King Yeonsanggun. King Yeonsanggun in Joseon Dynasty threw a party every day in Gyeonghaeru, though the national fiancé was at week. He spent his days drinking and playing with women. The King Yeonsanggun was driven out from the throne because he ruled the country with violence. However, he wasn't like that from the first, but we became violent after he knew about the death of his mother and how she died. In Gyeonghaeru, King Yeonsanggun had many parties and played every day without doing his duties.
In Korea, the term 흥청망청 is used to waste things or time. The term was made during the reign of King Yeonsanggun of the Joseon Dynasty. Yeonsanggun brought all the beautiful women from all over the country to the palace and ordered the establishment of an agency named Hungcheong to manage them. Yeonsanggun enjoyed a party with Hungcheong in Gyeonghaeru. The word 흥청망청 was coined to mean that it was ruined while playing with Hungcheong.
So far we have looked at Gyeonghaeru. There are many other beautiful buildings and interesting history in Gyeongbokgung. I hope you enjoy many other places together. Thank you!